What's up, YouTube? This video is about the 4 ways to upgrade your life now. The 4 ways to upgrade your life now are to live in the moment and accept the present, to turn negative thoughts into positive thoughts, to appreciate what you have, and to be proud of the small steps. They turn out to be big ones. And throughout this video, we'll break down those 4 points. This is your own life. My mission is to motivate anyone who needs encouragement, give back, and prove that something can be built from nothing. I'm starting from ground zero. Join me on this journey and let's create together. Recently I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a by Mark Manson, and he talks about a man who goes through these unbelievable struggles in his life, winds up in the jungle, lost for dead, and somehow makes his way back to the world and winds up becoming a renowned psychologist by getting out of his own way. The message that I took from this book is that if you live in the moment and accept the present, you can find a different kind of happiness. I've read a lot of material that discusses trying to establish goals for yourself and be able to get to the next level and how you're going to get to the next level, and thinking about where you want to be rather than being happy where you are right now. And I think that was one great takeaway that I had from The Subtle Art of Not Giving. That's exactly what he talks about. He talks about respecting yourself and respecting what you're going through in life right now and accepting that reality and not putting a roadblock in front of yourself like, I want to be a millionaire, and the only thing that you do is realize every day that you're not a millionaire. And he calls it the feedback loop from hell, where I realize what I want, I realize I don't have it, and then I'm upset with myself because I don't have it. I think a lot of people can relate to that type of feedback loop. Live in the moment, accept the present. If you can accept where you're at right now, it doesn't matter where it is or what time of day, and just realize that the reason that you're in that position is because you put yourself there. You can make a real stride in that moment to realize that there is more possible out of life, and what you've done up to this point is okay, and it's okay to be struggling in any one moment. I had a roommate in college who every day she would come home from work, and it was every single day. It was exhausting, actually. It was, my car wouldn't start, and then I was late to this, and then I got a parking ticket because I had to park illegally somewhere. And then my professor wouldn't give me attendance because I didn't get there in time to scan my badge for attendance. And after a year of this kind of talk, it was really apparent to me that 99% of her problems could be fixed by just waking up 15 minutes earlier. That's a reality for a lot of people out there. And I know me myself, I suffer from this same thing. It's challenging to wake up every single day at the same time. I remember back when I was little, I could just wake up at the crack of dawn and jump out of bed, and I would be running around the house like a nightmare. And I don't know what it is as you get older, but for me, I appreciate my rest. So for any of you out there that can appreciate that, you can understand where I'm coming from. The next point is turn around negative thoughts and turn them into positive thoughts. So while you're living in the moment and you're realizing that your present is something that you've created for yourself, maybe you realize that you're not happy with that present that you've created for yourself. Maybe you're getting a speeding ticket, you're getting pulled over for speeding, or maybe you're working in a job that you're not particularly happy with right now, and the checkout line at the local grocery store is not the height or the peak of your ambitions. I think you can turn any of those things into a positive thought. For example, if you're working in a grocery store, you can tell yourself, this is my starting point, or this is the most challenging point of my life that I've been through, and where do I want to go from here? And living in that moment while you're there, just going through this challenge and this monotony, just trying to resonate with yourself and how you got there over time. And It's not an easy thing to accept that we've put ourselves in tough positions. The quicker that you're able to realize that you've put yourself in the position that you're in, and I'm not talking about, you're born with a physical impairment, or somebody sideswiped you in a car and you're suffering because of that. I'm not trying to point out people that have truly gone through something crazy in their lives, but I'm speaking more to the people who have had some challenges where they were late and they got a speeding ticket because they had to speed, and they can realize in that moment that if I left 5 minutes earlier, I would not have to speed and I could have a more positive day. Anyway, it's just about turning a negative thought into a positive thought. Like I said, for the guy maybe, or the gal maybe working at a grocery store, if you have gone through some substantial suffering recently in your life, maybe with addiction or any one of these unbelievably challenging life events, in that moment, it's okay to just realize how you got into that position. I understand for me exactly how I got into the position that I'm in right now. For me, it's something that I'm proud of, but I also have regrets related to that, and I'll talk about those as I go through this channel, and I'm sure everybody else in life has this same type of, good and evil type on the shoulder. You shouldn't be happy, you should be happy, and like this type of battle. But I think if you take control of your mind and you turn it into a positive, that you really can start looking on the bright side and finding the positivity in people's lives. I watched the Mr. Rogers movie. I can't remember the name, but it was the one with Tom Hanks in it. And what I realized while I was watching that movie is that entire movie is just about this man who just wanted people to be kind to each other. And his entire life and his work was about that. And at one point in the movie, his wife just said, he's not a saint. This is something that he works at. And so I think, turning a negative thought into a positive thought forever will be something that I have to work on, and I think everybody else maybe will have a easier time, or maybe somebody will have a harder time. But if you take control of your thoughts in that moment and overcome them and just decide, I'm not going to feel negative about this, I'm going to make this a positive thought, you can start to look on a more positive note about what is in the future for you potentially, or that what you're doing is not so bad. And that leads into my next point, which is appreciate what you have. I recently read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. For any of you guys that have read this book, I did not know what I was getting into when I read that book at all. There was a recommendation, so I read a lot of the book recommendations, like from Bill Gates, and shout out to Bill if he ever sees this video, and Warren Buffett, and just other people that I admire. And when I see lists of books that either they wrote or that they say are in their personal libraries, I make a point to go down to my library and rent those books and read them. And that's something that I just started, which is part of the journey that I'm on now, which actually brought me right here in front of this camera. So anyway, as far as appreciating what you have, the Viktor Frankl book, A Man's Search for Meaning, was an unbelievable book about these crazy hardships that Viktor Frankl went through in Auschwitz. And it was such a heavy book. It puts you in this place where he basically talks about how in the camps, every single thing that they had was taken from them that meant something to them. And anything that they had ended up becoming something that they would barter or trade just to have food. He said that it was the ultimate stripping away of life that you could possibly have. The reason that I read that book was because there was a woman, and I can't remember who it is right now, but she had put up a post or it was an interview with her, and she had said she reads that book every single year on her birthday. And that's what led me to read that book. What I ended up taking away from it is that you realize there is no hardship that you could possibly go through in your life that would be anything comparable to what this man and these people went through, many of them perishing because of some ridiculous belief. Anyway, to not get into that, what I took away from the book is that if you turn your negative thoughts into positive thoughts, accept the present moment that you're in, you can connect a lot more with appreciating what you're going through in your life right now. You know, maybe you lost your job because your company is doing cutbacks and you're suffering financially. Reading this book can completely change your mind and turn your perspective completely around. I'm not trying to downplay the severity of what a family could be going through with that kind of financial struggle in their life, but this book really puts you in the place of somebody who is surviving to work all day with nothing to eat. They have nothing left but their mind and their body is deteriorating away because they're being starved. And that really enabled me to start putting it into perspective, really to appreciate what I have and stop complaining and stop this, you know, I wish I had this or I wish I had that mentality, and just start appreciating what I do have right now. The last note that I'd like to leave on is being proud of small steps, because small steps turn out to be big. So I can use an example right now in my life where a few years ago, I wasn't in a very good place. Maybe 10 years ago, probably now. I had just gotten out of a bad relationship and I was probably drinking too much, not studying enough, and overall, I needed to have some new direction. One of my gifts at the bar that I worked at, we used to do like a gift exchange at Christmas, was this Moleskine book. I don't know if you guys have seen them, but it was like a little journal, and I still have it with me, actually. It's upstairs. But somebody had gifted it to me, and in that book I started to write down little goals for myself of what I wanted to accomplish within the next year. It was amazing to me at the end of that year how many things I had accomplished that I wrote down as goals, and I had been completely blown away, because it had not been for looking back at that book, I would have still felt maybe like I was inadequate or like I hadn't done what I had set out to do. And whenever I talk to my family or people that need encouragement or are looking for encouragement, I always tell them, like, write down what you want to do, and write down small goals. Like if you have a goal to read books, that was one goal for me. I want to read more. Every time I talk to my dad, he always says, read books. And he says, the only thing that they can't take from you is education. And I, for whatever reason, have had a lot of difficulty being able to pick up a book and sit down and read it. I started off by setting a goal for myself of I'm going to read one paragraph a night. That was it. That's all I wanted to do, was read one paragraph. I wrote down when I was reading one paragraph, and eventually it turned into a point where I couldn't even keep track of how much I was reading. That journey just started for me probably in May of this year, and since then I've read like 10 or 12 books already, which is not very much for a lot of people who are voracious readers, but it's been a great jump back into something that's for me and for my development. So anyway, that has been the 4 ways to upgrade your life, and I don't know, hopefully this helps you go down a course where you find some happiness. Thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you want to donate to a charity, please put a comment of what charity you'd like to donate to. For each video, I'm going to make a $25 donation until the channel grows, and as the channel grows, the donation will grow along with it. Thank you guys for watching. Check us out on our next video.